This is the 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. This year, Jeep has been on a roll. They have updated so many of their vehicles with new interiors, exteriors, and capabilities. So far, we've taken a look at the new Jeep Compass, the new Grand Cherokee, and today we're looking at the Big Daddy. This is the 2022 Grand Wagoneer.
When you're taking on an industry giant like the Cadillac Escalade, you have to bring your A game. And it certainly appears that Jeep has spared no expense to make the Grand Wagoneer stand out in the class, while retaining the capability that is synonymous with the brand. The model we're looking at today is a mid-range Series 2 with a number of options, including Macintosh sound and second row entertainment. Price as you see it here, about $104,000. Under the hood is a 6.4-liter V8 engine that produces up to 471 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque. This is connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission that powers all four wheels through the QuadraDrive 2 automatic four-wheel drive system. Power distribution is enhanced with a dual-range gearbox, the Select Terrain traction management system, and an electronic rear limited-slip differential. EPA rates this setup at 13 miles to the gallon in the city and 18 on the highway. Towing is important in this class, and when properly equipped, the Grand Wagoneer can pull up to 9,850 pounds. Payload is limited to 1,380 pounds. Thanks to its large size, in the back you get up to 27.4 cubic feet. Fold all the seats down for a completely flat area fitting up to 94.2 cubic feet of cargo capacity. In the back, you also get a DC power socket, and under the floor is a cubby to store the cargo net, tools, and an included recovery hook.
Okay, well, this is fancy. Look at all these screens. It has Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube. Let's go find our favorite show on YouTube here, shall we? It's not very quick. Can I do any of this? Oh. It's not all touch screen. I need a remote of some kind. Ow! It's like a fire remote. Huh. Okay. Up, there we go. Let's do a search. Boom. Love it. I'm watching my Grand Cherokee review in a Wagoneer over streaming. That is how a second row entertainment should be. Seamless. Things people know. Okay, what else can we do with this thing? Exit YouTube. Exit. Okay, limited touch capability. Fine. So it's a touch screen, but not all the... Oh, that's the wrong one. This one over there. Exit. Okay, so library, great. Jeep. Ooh, what do we have there? We have climate control. Also note we have HDMI and headphones. Can I just touch on those? I can't just touch on those. Why can't I touch on that? That's touchscreen. Why is Jeep's own app not touchscreen? That's kind of strange. What else do we have? Live. Oh, we have live TV. And then we have apps. What kind of apps do we have? Alexa, Disney, Showtime. Okay, so we can pretty much install everything. Moving down here, we have another screen in the second row. I tell you, my kids are going to love this. Here I can control seat warmers and coolers, which is really nice to have back here. Not unheard of, though. I believe some Hyundais also provide second row seat coolers, and it's not uncommon to get second row seat warmers these days either. But basically, is that all this screen does? It just does the aircon. Still, it's nicer than having to reach down here, but it seems a little fancier than you really need. We get two cup holders here, little storage bin, and then we also have a USB-C and USB-A socket. Oh, more USB sockets and an AC power plug. There's also one more thing, and that is a retractable screen. Nice. Okay, well, let's check out that third row. To get into the third row, I hit a button here, it slides forward, and in I go. Man, this is actually pretty nice. It's kind of a deep bucket, which I was surprised with. I also get my own vent. I can adjust the back of my seat. Whoa, that goes pretty far back. And I get 2 USB sockets. With this seat in the right position, I got tons of leg room. This is actually pretty nice back here. This might be one of the best third rows I've ever been in. Wow, there's a lot of screens going on here. We have a screen for the gauge cluster, screen for nav, and then we have another one down here, which I assume is for, yeah, it's aircon, massage, and seat adjustment. Wow, that's a lot of screens. Okay, where are we gonna start? Let's start with this gauge cluster. So the gauge cluster here is actually almost identical to the one in my Compass. We bought a 2022 Jeep Compass for the show. It has a new interior inspired by this Grand Wagoneer, and so it's probably not too surprising to see a very similar setup here. Like on our Compass, you can have analog gauges or hold down the OK to get digital. Either way, you can flip through a ton of useful information,
including off-road gauges, drive mode displays, and a lot more.
So that's the gauge cluster. It actually contains a ton of information. It's pretty configurable. Can't really change the design of it very much, but you do at least have the digital and analog options. Controls are easy to use on the steering wheel. And speaking of steering wheels, this one is really nice. The leather is great. There's this little wood inlay here. We also have lots of buttons, but they're tightly integrated, so they're not all over the wheel. They're just right here and here. On the left, you control the menu. On the right, you control your adaptive cruise control system. I mean, the amount of detail in this vehicle is pretty spectacular. We have just this leather up here with this stitch work. We have the wood inlay here with the Grand Wagoneer printed on it. Even this start button. What's with this super cheap plastic surround? That just seems kind of chintzy, which is weird because like the leather behind it is really nice. You just kind of have this weird mix of like really good stuff and really mediocre, which at $100,000, this is where you start to sweat the details. Everything has to be great. You can't like look at something and go, I'm gonna hate that every single time I hit that start stop. I mean, come on guys, spend 5 more cents on the surround, okay? You know, people are putting crystal in their start stop buttons at $100,000. I know some people who will not buy this car if they see plastic like that. One thing that does look great is this display. It's a large widescreen setup. I do have, of course, a volume knob here, and then I also get some quick buttons on the side here for my seat warmers, seat coolers, and steering wheel heat. Oh, 3 stages of steering wheel heat. That's pretty cool. Now, this infotainment system is the latest Uconnect, and it's the same system on the Grand Cherokee and on our Compass. The latest version of this nav system I do find to be pretty good. There are a few weird quirks, however, and I'm not going to get into that in this review, but if you check out my 2022 Jeep Compass review, you will see me go into way more detail about this system because I drove it 2,600 miles across the country and I use this system a lot. Moving on, we of course have media, XM satellite radio, FM, AM, and it also has wireless Apple CarPlay in addition to wireless Android Auto. And it is a good experience on here. Again, bugs kind of diminish the experience because sometimes it will just not want to connect for no reason, and even the plug-in connection won't connect, which is frustrating. So, good system again, needs a little work. Now, all of these things I'm saying as of today, I'm filming this in January of 2022. It's possible that in a few weeks or a few months, they'll have bug fixes and all of these little nuisances in the system will be fixed. So keep that in mind, okay? This is just as it sits right now and has been for the last couple months. Moving over to vehicle, we can take a look at all sorts of things. I prefer a dark theme. First off, let's go ahead and jump over to that. What just happened? I clicked dark. Hey, there we go. Pump me to the top of the thing. Entertainment screens, I can give them navigation or not. I can also set up driver profiles. Safety and assistance, we have emergency braking. Do we have pedestrian? Yes, we do. Pedestrian detection. Active lane management. we have lane warning, and that's it. No lane centering yet. So this screen here is pretty cool because it tells me the status of my four-wheel drive system. Transfer case, there's a high and a low gear. Also the rear axle, whether or not that rear diff is locked. I have accessory gauges so I can kind of keep tabs on everything. If I'm on a trail and I want to see how steep it is, it'll tell me. And then there's the select terrain system. This will basically just show me graphics based on the settings down here. Then there's suspension. We can go up or down, and this will also show me the amount of angle. There's just so many options here. We could spend all day on this system, but we have more stuff to talk about, so let's move on. Below this, there are some hard keys, which I kind of like, where you can do your fan, your zone, as well as your defrost front and back, as well as toggle your temperature. But below that is a really neat screen where we have touch response. It could be a little quicker. Individual adjustment of your seat, which is also duplicated up here with hard switches, kind of a la Mercedes-Benz. Massage units, my personal favorite is extend. Wait, why won't that on? Okay, I had to hit on. Extend, high, and then on the back and the bum. Yeah. And that, of course, is for both front seats. Next, we have rear aircon. So when the kids inevitably crank the fan to high, I can turn it down here. I can also lock them off. And if I don't want, to have one more screen on me, I can just turn that off, and that's fine. Behind this is a wireless charging pad in addition to 12-volt and USB power. Now, the transmission here is an automatic. It's controlled with a dial, which is fine. I don't find that to be good or bad. It is what it is.
Switch to reverse and you get a nice surround view camera with parking sensors.
And then this particular Grand Wagoneer comes with the Quadra Drive 2 four-wheel drive system. This is Jeep's most advanced system. If you get a Grand Cherokee, I think you can only get it on the Summit and the Trailhawk. What this does is it has a center differential, powers front and back wheels. It'll shift power as necessary, front to back as well as side to side, sending more torque to individual wheels as they need them. And we have several settings we can pick from here, including sport, snow, sand, mud, and rock. All of those are optimized for specific conditions. If we need to go into low range, we can just hit a button here. I do have to put it into neutral first. You can even hear it click into place. Okay, now we're in for low. Hold it again, and we pop out. Now, the suspension here is air suspension. Based on your drive mode, it will go up and down as necessary, or you can override it with a manual control. Finally, there is a hill descent control system. You hit a button here, it'll help with descent. We'll see if we can find a hill later to try that out. I don't know what we can find today because we have very limited roads because of so much snow that dumped in the last week here in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of a thaw off, but just getting to roads right now is very complicated. So let's go out, see what we can do, and see what kind of fun we can have in this $100,000 plus Grand Wagoneer. Oh yes, it is a very wet day in the Pacific Northwest today. Nick, how you doing back there?
Doing good, doing good. This back seat's pretty sweet. It's there's a lot of leg room. I'm 6'1". I have pretty long legs, and I fit perfect back here. As long as no one's sitting up there, I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal.
Yeah, the passenger seat is slid forward just a little bit more than somebody would normally have it right now.
Yeah, and with the TV screens on the back, or the screens on the back, they don't tilt at all, so it really is just dependent on what the front seat's doing, like the angle of the screen, which is kind of weird. I don't really like that a whole lot. If there's just a little bit of adjustability, it'd be great. My seat's all the way back, lots of leg room. I'm watching Despicable Me right now, which is pretty cool. The quality of the screen is incredible, and the interface that they use is, I think, Amazon Fire.
It basically is a really high-end Amazon Fire tablet just bolted to the back of the seat.
Yeah, but it's really good. It's super responsive. I connected my AirPods earlier, like super easily, which is very rare. It seems like that's not a thing.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of those second row systems are throwbacks where you have to plug in your headphones or use some archaic system to be able to stream content.
Yeah. Now the seat comfort though definitely has some improvement to be made. When you sit in it, it's very flat. Like it's very flat. There's not a whole lot of give. They're not terrible, but I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes. It's not the worst seat I've ever been in, but it's not up to par where I think it should be. Right. But it's not bad.
So it's probably fine for kids who don't have room to complain about their seat, or don't have a lot of context in which to put levels of seat comfort. Meanwhile, I'm sitting up here with seat massagers on, seat heat on, and I'm finding it's very comfortable. I'm padded in all the right spots. I could just drive on this road for hours. And if I were to drive on this road for hours, obviously I'd engage the adaptive cruise control. Let's go ahead and turn that on. ACC, hit set. And you might expect a vehicle that costs over $100,000 would have bleeding edge technology when it comes to adaptive cruise control. Not so. This one just has regular adaptive cruise control with lane detection. It doesn't even have lane centering, which you would find on, a $25,000 Subaru. So, Escalade has Super Cruise, and that is a great hands-free system so long as you're driving on a mapped out freeway, because it does rely on mapping. But this one, you don't even have that option. On the plus side, I do find that the adaptive cruise control and lane detection works even like in very inclement weather like we have today. So we've established this is probably a good cruiser for the freeway, although I am getting 14 miles to the gallon. Thank you, thirsty V8. Let's see how it handles on the side roads. And I don't know if these roads are going to be covered in snow or just be rivers of water. Yeah, they've plowed, so we have mountains of snow to the side of the road and bare roads in the middle. Now this gives me an opportunity to switch the drive mode into sport. And switching down to sport actually lowers the air suspension just a little bit, and it also stiffens up the ride so that we have a more performance-oriented vehicle. And keep in mind, this is a very large vehicle. You aren't going to be tearing up the corners. You have to manage your expectations as to what this system does. But with a big V8, and one of Jeep's most advanced four-wheel drive systems, you're pretty much ready for anything, whether you want to bomb through the corners or if you want to take this thing off-road. Now, the biggest issue with taking this thing off-road is the fact that it comes with 22-inch wheels and rubber on the sidewalls that are about that big. So that is just asking for a puncture. Even though this is a massive vehicle, I feel like I know where the vehicle is at all times. I have good visibility. I can look over the hood very easily. It's just really not bad. Of course, once you try to find parking, that's a whole different issue. Man, I love the sound of a V8. That's just a sound it's dying, There's very few vehicles still available with a V8. Everything's kind of switching to either a hybrid or a Turbo 6 setup in this class. Okay, let's try a 0 to 60. Now I'm in sport mode, and there's really nothing else I can do. So let's go ahead and stop it right here. And 3, 2, 1, go. What? Wow. And 60. Whoa, that was fun. Good sounds, good speed. I mean, there's no complaints there. That was good. For the size of this vehicle, it boggles my mind that this thing can move as fast as it does. So this is a normal access road to one of the off-road routes that we take for testing. Unfortunately, we just had a massive snowstorm, and when they plow through, they have a tendency to block the roads. So I'm going to look up here, but I'm not 100% sure that we can get into our normal testing road. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that is not going to happen. The snow is compacted, it's ice, and it's up to the nose of the vehicle. So I think we're going to head to Eastern Washington, where hopefully we can find a plowed road that is more easily accessible.
For our first stop, we're going to stop by our test hill, which we figure is probably inaccessible considering the amount of snow that just fell in the mountains.
So here's the property. We have plowing about 20 feet up, and now that's a wall of about 3 feet of snow, and then we're over there. Can't even get to it, which is fine, you know? So for a couple months of the year, this is inaccessible, basically. That is not gonna happen.
Thankfully, we have a plan B just up the road.
So we have found a road with a little slush and gravel, but mostly it's ice. So I've thrown down the cones. They're 15 paces apart, which is very tight for a vehicle of this size. And I want to try the different drive modes. So first we're going to start in auto, and let's see what this does. Now I'm not trying to get crazy here. I just want to see what the system does in a way that somebody would normally drive. Throttle on. Ooh, got a little kick there. Did I just take a cone out? I think I did. I took the first cone out. Whoa, that is, yeah, this vehicle is too big for that pacing of cones. I think we need to make an adjustment there. Now we're going to try that again with 20 paces between each cone. We have the vehicle's four-wheel drive system in auto. Now this, I do have to note, this is a really cool four-wheel drive system. It has a limited slip differential in the front and the back, and it can send torque to any individual wheel, not just front to back. It's actually like one of the most capable systems that you'll find in any vehicle available today. Okay, going around the cones. In auto, it's doing a pretty good job. Pushing torque where it needs to, but not really preventing fun. I could get pretty sideways there, which is kind of surprising. Okay, this time we're going to line up and we're going to do snow mode, and let's see how this system changes. So first off, throttle is very slow to come on. Feel like, oh, it's really, man, that's really good. It really allows for some of the most controlled snow driving on inappropriate tires that I think I've ever experienced. Okay, now we are going to switch it into sand mud mode. What that will do is it pushes most of the power to the back. It also removes a layer of traction control. This should be kind of crazy. You would really only want to use this actually in sand or mud where you need wheel spin, or possibly deep snow where cutting the throttle isn't helping, which you would get in snow mode. So it's kind of like a deep snow slash sand slash mud. Here we go. Oh, immediately, lots of wheel spin in the back. So much wheel spin. And, oh, brake, rotate. Oh yeah, super easy to get sideways. Oh, I love it. That is definitely the fun mode. we've looked at all the different modes. They provide a very different driving experience, each of them. And the four-wheel drive system does a phenomenal job of making sure that this vehicle tracks the way you want to if you're in a mode that's appropriate for conditions. Now let's take a closer look at the individual wheel spins with a side view. One thing I love about this vehicle is the four-wheel drive system. Switch it into sand, mud, throttle it in, and you can get sideways all day long. So in this type of a product, I think that it's going to be more common that somebody's going to lease it than buy it. So you're looking at, say, a 3-year ownership experience, usually. And if you are leasing something like this, the long-term viability of this product just really isn't a big deal. You just want to make sure that it's not too buggy out of the gate that it becomes annoying. And I have to say, there's been a couple weird quirks with the infotainment system, but nothing that has absolutely killed it for me. Now keep in mind, I've only driven this for a week, so it's not exactly a long-term ownership experience, but I think that, what they offer here is very compelling. However, if you're really more into like the comfort and the luxury and the self-driving capability, I think that the Cadillac or even the Lincoln Navigator would be a better choice. If, however, you're looking for something that has the best four-wheel drive system in a product of this size, I don't think there's really any competition. The Grand Wagoneer is what you want. And with that sweet V8 engine, it really is a very compelling package. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the video with your friends. We make them for you, and we hope you enjoy.